Outlet Liquor is your place to buy a case. Stock up and save when you shop the lowest prices available every day at Outlet Liquor. You never have to wait for a sale. The more you buy, the more you save. Only at Outlet Liquor.
What's your outlet?
Welcome, everybody, to I'll Hang Up and Listen. I am Duane Steinau, the host of Two Goalies, One Mic, joined by the host of Where the Buffalo Roam and producer Steve, producer of Two Goalies, One Mic. Sabres win big, 6-5, overtime against the Minnesota Wild, continuing the Goathead sweater winning streak. And, of course, a 5-point night from Rasmus Dahlin, making all those who snubbed him from the All-Star game rightfully shit their pants for snubbing him, and just really kind of just taking a stranglehold, in my opinion, of the Norris Trophy chase. But most importantly, above all that, we have another special guest host tonight, a man who made his college hockey debut tonight, Gatesy, Carson Gates. There he is. Congrats, buddy. Let's talk about that first and foremost at the top off the show. How does it feel to be an official college hockey player? Not that it wasn't official before, but you made your debut tonight.
It is the craziest thing is, unfortunately, I wasn't able to catch any of the Sabres game. It looked like a crazy game going into overtime, but yeah, it was so much fun. I got in the last 5 minutes of the game. The boys went crazy. I don't know if you guys know, but I walked onto the team last year, and it's been an uphill road to just dress in games, be the third goalie, and yeah, I got some minutes tonight and a big win, and it was cool. Made a couple saves. I still just in shock that it actually happened. I don't know if I didn't think I was ever going to get in the net again in a competitive game, and here it is. So it's super exciting.
You want to know what, bud? A couple clicks for you, and you want to know what, bud? Honest, as goaltenders, we all know that struggle, right? When you're trying to battle to get ice time, to get minutes in a game, even in practice, every save counts, right? You're yourself, you're your biggest critic, and there's a lot of eyes on you watching how well you're playing. Even if you're getting absolutely a shot that you have no chance on, you're your own hardest critic. And to be able to finally, get over that hump, get your first game under your belt tonight, couldn't be more proud of you, bud, because I know the feeling, man. I was a goalie who dealt with a lot of adversity growing up. Had coaches that weren't really high on my style of play, but it always worked for me, and I always ended up finishing and starting and finishing the year as a starter. But it was always a battle. So I know exactly that feeling. So a couple clicks for Carson, and congrats, bud. Appreciate you hopping on with us. Any high moments from the game? Can you give us a breakdown of what went down and how it went down?
Yeah, so it was an exhibition game, and we were beating the team pretty bad. And with 3 minutes left, we go on the power play, and I'm just looking the other end, see what's going on, and I get a tap on the back from my coach saying you're going in. I told him, what do you mean? I look in the net, and our net's empty. Our goalie's already gotten out to get me in. I grab my stick off the boards, and our bench is going crazy. The guys they've pulled for me harder than anyone before, and it's the only reason I'm still going is because of them. And yeah, they dumped the puck, I iced the puck on the penalty kill. I stopped it. The bench went crazy, and then a minute left, they got it was a 1-on-1 wrister from the top of the circles into my chest, and the guys really liked that one. And yeah, game ended at face up in our zone, and the guys made me feel really special. It got me the puck, all that stuff, and it's something I'll never forget. It's just the way our team and our boys made me feel, and after everything the past year and a half, really out of words to describe it.
Did you get the puck?
Yeah, it's right here.
Let's see it. Love it. I fucking love it,
There
bud.
is.
That's awesome. Good for you. You've earned it, man. Like I said, I know exactly what that's like. Any goalie knows exactly what that's like, man. Just to battle through adversity, the highs and lows of the position. And I've said it plenty of times on this show before. Next to pitcher, there's no more mentally straining position in sports, in my opinion, than being a goalie.
Yeah, it was,
Because the game can be won and lost by you single-handedly. You know, you could have a bad 5 minutes and give up 4 goals. A pitcher can have one bad inning and give up 8 runs. It's a fact of life. Super happy, super pumped to see that you got that opportunity tonight, and hopefully it's the first of many to come.
I hope so. We'll see where it goes. It's got a couple months left here in the season, and gonna try to go on a run. So
there we go.
Thank you.
But you know, obviously, going with the vibes, as I said before, Sabres with a huge 6-5 win in overtime, continuing the win streak of the Goathead jersey. I was getting some blowback on Twitter earlier. You know, when they were up, they had a 1-goal lead. I tweeted it out, they will not lose in these jerseys, and they went down 5-4. It's getting some shade thrown my way in the comments, like, "Oh, look who spoke too soon." This tweet didn't age well. I'm like, I'm sorry, did the game end already? There was 10 minutes left. Game's not over, and Rasmus Dahlin showing up when it mattered, hammers a puck by Fleury, who is actually had, according to Michael Rousseau, a rough go of it as of late. Because we lost Carson there for a second. A rough go as they will get that in a minute, and then Victor Olofsson finished it off in overtime, increasing that trade stock, in my opinion. I'm sure Steve, you would agree as well. But Steve, just your impression of the game, and is Kevin Adams on the hot seat right now to possibly make a move in the next couple weeks?
I mean, we've been playing a lot of these quote unquote statement games lately. I mean, that big win against Boston was, they're without a doubt the best team in the East right now. Sure, we needed extra minutes to do it, but we did it again against one of the hardest teams to play in, and we did it in their barn. Like, that is a hard place to win a game. For all the shit I talk about Boston as just a team, having to be the away team in their arenas that's a hard game to win, and Buffalo won it. And then they have a big win against the Washington Capitals. Tage Thompson scores more goals in a night than Alex Ovechkin, and then once again the fifth win with 6 goals in Goathead jerseys, undefeated in black and red. I know that it might not necessarily be Kevin Adams' philosophy to, trade for. He's not going to go make. He might go make a blue chip trade, but honestly, yeah. You could definitely make the argument that this is the team that with that extra ingredient, either on the back end or the front end. That isn't a team that's hunting for the wild card spot. That's a team that could be maintaining it. If they keep playing like this, I'm sure there's going to be a game or two here and there where they're going to lose. No team keeps winning forever. Boston didn't do it. Jersey didn't do it. Eventually you lose a game or two. We lost to Ottawa like a week and a half ago. It feels so long ago I can't remember, but we've lost one in these last 10. But yeah, that's all to say that, you could definitely make the argument that if Kevin wasn't seriously considering it before, he absolutely better be now. If not even just for the performance of the team itself, but just from what you could, if anybody was watching, I would have loved to be at that game tonight. I kind of regret not going, but
me too, man.
For anybody watching from home, it's
and here's the thing. Not to interrupt you, but here's the thing. I actually got a friend of the program, Jake Madison, gave me a phone call around 4:30 and told me he had an extra ticket. It was mine if I wanted it for free for tonight. And I sat there, I'm like, oh, I'd love to go. I said to myself, I really love to go. But I had a family. It was obviously everybody's holiday plans got pushed back because of the storm. Well, our Christmas party for my family got pushed to tonight. I was like, could I cut out early? I don't know. And then I thought about it. I tried calling him, and it went right to voicemail. So I'm assuming that he didn't get back to me. He found somebody else to take the ticket. But I was like, shit, man, I should have just said yes. Should have just said yes. They already had my gifts there. I had no reason to be there.
Yeah, I mean, there usually is another night to go visit the folks, but I mean, to that end, like, yeah, tonight's game, like, it just reinforced just how much the sports teams in Buffalo mean to the community. I mean, obviously, just the way that the Sabres organization has rallied, shown their support with everything going on with Hamlin, and just how happy everyone was to see that he's able to just send out a tweet on his own. Just showing his love and affection for everybody, showing their love for him this past week. I mean, it sounds like it was like a weight off everybody's mind, knowing that, like, yeah, it was scary, but he's got to be okay. That if for no other reason, just based on what these teams mean to this town, maybe you make a trade so that even if they don't make it to the playoffs, like, you push your chips in and say, I'm in. Let's fucking push for it, boys. Win or lose, I'm in it. And that's the kind of thing that trading for a legitimate defenseman, or maybe an honest to goodness second line center, to give a little relief to a guy like Dylan Cousins, whose kid line haven't been making the big splashes we've seen them make in the past. Again, they're not playing poorly. They're just not, lighting the lamp as frequently as they were probably back in and again, like, it's Dylan Cousins who's having his own breakout year and two honest to God rookies. It's going to take time for that to be a consistently performing line. But yeah, I think Kevin realizes that a trade would show this town that he means business. So he, in and of itself, the trade is the statement game for him.
Yeah, and you don't want to know what? Like, I think if you are to make a deal right now, you definitely need to. I know Cal Clegg hasn't exactly been bad. He's had moments of good hockey, but I think the first thing you need to do is address that position. I think that you got to solidify your top 4 defensemen, your top 2 pairings. Find a guy who, would really complement Owen Power. Not that he hasn't played well. Owen Power is really in position to, possibly win Rookie of the Year. Be the first time a Sabres player has since Tyler Myers. And you have a bunch of other young players in this team. Your Jack Quinn, your JJ Paterka, guys who, are really starting to come out of their shell. Dylan Cousins having a breakout season. But I think that, you have to solidify that second pairing. And, that slides Labushkin or Clegg down to your third pairing, or it's a Bryson, whoever it is. And then when Henry Jokiharju gets back, you have a really solid 3 pairing setup here in Buffalo. I mean, if you're going your third pairing as Labushkin and is it Bryson, is it Clegg, or is it Jokiharju, whoever it is, I think you're doing pretty good for yourself. So whoever that guy is, obviously the top name on everybody's list is Jacob Chychrun, a guy who's got 2 years left on his deal at $4.5 million. That's going to cost you quite a bit, but at the end of the day, it's kind of like, well, you can afford. You have the ability to make that happen. You just do. You have the assets. You have the cap space. You have the draft picks. This team has had 5 first-round draft picks in the last 2 years. So if you do make a trade, trade away a first-round pick, or that and a player and another pick, like maybe a first, a second, and a roster player now, because I still think that what Arizona wants for Chychrun is kind of still outrageous. I don't think they'll get it. It's kind of like with Eichel, and Kevin Adams asked for Eichel when they're on a trade. You start as high as you possibly can, and you work your way down, and get something reasonable. I think the fact that he is still on that team is kind of mind blowing. However, Heat Daddy, everybody knows on Twitter, did send a tweet out, a few minutes before we went live, is that the Bruins are in on somebody and we won't believe who it is. My guess would be Jacob Chikrin because he has not been in that conversation at all when it comes to the Bruins. But that he seems like he'd be a reliable source. He knows a lot of people in the game, so I don't think he would tweet something out like that unless he had some good solid information. Unless it's just a troll, I don't know. But I think that's where you start. You start on the back end, and you figure that out. One quick note though, Michael Rousseau, one of the beat writers for the Minnesota Wild, did mention that Fleury, kind of lost in the locker room, was throwing things around, putting a lot of that game on himself, saying if you score 5 goals, you should win a hockey game. I guess according to Michael Rousseau, to his own knowledge, Marc-Andre Fleury has been dealing with a lot of personal issues over the last week, and I guess he'll be leaving the team until Tuesday to deal with those personal issues. So whatever it is, you love to get the win here, and you love the way it happened and all the goal scoring and this and that. But Marc-Andre Fleury is a class act on and off the ice, and one of the greatest goalies to ever play in the NHL. I think he's like 3rd all time in wins. He's up there. But I hope for the best for him, and that whatever this is, he gets through it and it returns to the team. Obviously with everything going in a positive direction. So a couple clicks for Fleury. I hope the best for him, and I hope things will get better for him soon. So, but with that being said, Steve, if this team were to make a deal to improve, like outside of Chikrin, who would you look at?
Well, I mean, that's kind of the rub, isn't it? The people who are probably willing to make a trade are the people that aren't really in the mix, and the talent level on teams that aren't really in the mix is
your Vancouver Canucks.
I mean, on the blue line, the talent just isn't quite there. So, like, as far as like teams that have a D
Montreal
man worth moving that might actually be willing to move him, Chikrin is kind of the best talk in town, and pretty much the only talk in town by a wide margin. Like, yeah, there might be some like late 20s guys that have always kind of been on the fringe, your backpack Colin Miller types in a different organization. But like, we've been down that road. We're kind of down that road right now with Lyubushkin. Like, yes, he does have some good nights, but there's been even in this stretch of winning games, like it seems like every single night he's taking a completely unnecessary and totally avoidable penalty that sometimes is the reason that Buffalo, loses a lead and has to come back in a game. And, that's, I mean, right now we're getting lucky and we're getting those comebacks, but eventually we might get to the point that, somebody's going to make us pay for that. And, 1 goal can become 2 real quick in this league, as we've clearly seen just enough. So
one note, one of those names that I'm hearing about that whole boss rumor could be Bo Horvat.
Yeah, no, I could definitely see that. I mean,
there guy's going to be UFA. You're trying to win it all this year. You bring in a guy like that early when the opportunity's there. That would make sense. A Bo Horvat trade would make sense.
Especially when next year the question mark is will Patrice Bergeron still be a part of the equation, and if so, for how long? Just given solely on the age, nothing to the talent of his play. He's still playing at a truly phenomenal level. And again, for all the hate I direct towards Boston, nothing can be directed towards Patrice Bergeron as a player, as a human being.
He's literally one of the most biggest class acts in the hockey league, NHL.
Oh yeah,
like just like Fleury. Like, how do you hate that guy? You just don't. For me, it's like you think you kind of think of like the New York Yankees. Like, he's the Derek Jeter, he's the Mariano Rivera, just the most respectful guys on the team. Even though you hate them, like, you have to respect them.
Yeah. But I mean, with him potentially not being part of the equation, with a guy like Marchand getting closer to the wrong side of the curve, again, he's also still playing well. But like, that team, Pittsburgh and Chicago, they all have like that like early 2000s era player that was like they were the talk of the town and won them their cups in the early 2010s. But now they're in their mid 30s and they have to ask some serious questions. Kane and Taves obviously being the big questions. What can you get for them? And thankfully, they're both playing incredibly well. So Chicago succeeds in tanking, which they are currently well poised to do. I think they have 22 points total for the season, over 30 some odd games played. That's good tanking.
Yep.
That if they can sell off Kane and Taves for every last morsel of value they still have, and also draft Connor Bedard, that's a great way to start the rebuilding.
And those teams are going to be selling out quite a bit because of the guy you just mentioned, Connor Bedard, a guy who is now the all-time Canadian World Junior Championship scoring leader, overtaking Eric Lindros for that top spot, at least amongst Canadians. You kind of look, I'm looking at a list right now that was updated yesterday. Some guys defensively that might be out there. I saw Joel Edmondson's name, Timo Meier, obviously Jacob Chikrin. I'm sorry, not Timo Meier. I apologize. He's a winger.
Carlson.
Yeah, that's right, Carlson. I'm sorry, from the Sharks. A guy who in order for San Jose to get, not get rid of him, but trade him, they're going to at least, take on half of his contract. You have to. That's the only way. He makes 11.5 a season, so you have to take on half of that contract without a doubt. And you're also taking on the potential of him getting injured because he's done it. It's happened quite often in his career. But John Klingberg, a guy who just signed with Anaheim, a guy that his name's been thrown around, Shane Gostisbehere. There's a lot of names out there. Some forwards I've always liked are guys like Max Domi, who's people seem to not the character of the player. But in terms of the character of the player, people don't seem to think he'll fit in this locker room, but I disagree. I think there's a locker room that can, much like the Bills, who can embrace a guy like that. I think it would be the Buffalo Sabres with the leadership group we have here. Other players too, like I mentioned, Timo Meier, a guy that's on the trade block, winger from the San Jose Sharks. Brock Besser, a guy who has been a healthy scratch a couple times this year for the Vancouver Canucks, who, they just seem to look kind of like to blow it up, right? They want to blow it up and just move on from some players and start fresh, build around Quinn Hughes and Elias Pettersson. They're kind of stuck with that JT Miller contract, yeah, exactly. But with that being said, where do you look? I mean, I just mentioned Bo Horvat's name. I'd love to bring Bo. My two top spots is anybody who's watched this show. It's always been defenseman and center. Those two in that order, defenseman and center. I think that in order to be a successful hockey team in the NHL, you have to be deep down the middle. I think so much comes from your centermen, and I think Tage Thompson and Dylan Cousins in the seasons they're having are a big testament to that. Bo Horvat would be a great fit. I think he's probably played for Granado at some point in the past. But that being said, I think it's either him or as Besser. Brock Besser might have played for Granado in the past. One of the two have. But with that being said, are you willing to take on a Bo Horvat who is going to be a UFA? You could probably get it for free in free agency. But how good does this team have to get, and how much more you have to win to really have that type of a conversation where you do a sign and trade, or where you sign him upon trading for him, you give him the extension that he wants. He's going to demand probably $7 million a year. He's still young. Guy is the captain of the Canucks, so he's a good leader. Or he's got leadership qualities at least. Is that a type of move you make? Do you move to the wing? I mean, I don't know, man. There's fun conversations to have, because up until recently, you've never been able to have these conversations about the Buffalo Sabres.
Yeah, I was just thinking that this is the first time that we've started a new year in a hockey season where we weren't already mathematically out of the equation by a wide margin. again, we're still a few games behind the wild card. I believe it's the Islanders still, if I'm not mistaken. Sub Dewey, but yeah, I think we're still a few games out from them. But even still,
We did have a couple games in hand on the team in front of us for the wild card. Was that the Islanders?
it might be. I would
We
have
had
to look
2
at the
games in
standings.
hand with the same amount of points. So, I mean, we're inching closer and closer to being one of those wild card teams. And you're still the highest scoring team in the NHL, which I don't think there's a single fan in the city of Buffalo that would have predicted that. Not to mention that they'd be the highest scoring team in the NHL, but that they'd be able to hold on to that. It's been at least over a month now that they've not comfortably, but never lost that top spot.
Yeah, it's it's nice to see that Buffalo's fighting for it. They're actually in consideration. But yeah, the more I look at the defensemen that are doing good things this year and who's not going to be moved, I do start thinking that while Chychrun is the most expensive choice, it might also just be the best possible choice you can make. Just what you're getting with him. It's relatively once you've paid the upfront cost, the cap hit is very much affordable. And then, you have a consistent D partner for Owen Power, which obviously is very much needed, especially if Yoki Hardy is just going to continue to get injured. And if he is, then you kind of only want to have to rely on him in a third line role anyway, if he's going to take a while to keep coming back. And again, with the log jam we already have up front, I think it just makes more sense to focus on the back end anyway.
Yeah.
Like, when's the last time Hinostroza or Asplund have had a game?
Well, when you say logjam, though, I mean, yes and no, because you need more bottom six scoring. I've always been in favor of having a very interchangeable second and third line depending on the matchup. Because let's face facts, when it does get to the playoffs and teams are going to be able to figure you out when you play a team more than that often. And you just can't depend on most of your scoring to be coming from one line. And while the kid line has performed very well this season, they do go through slumps of their own, whereas your top line of Skinner, Tuck, and Thompson has just been your anchor every single night. They're really carrying the load, and you just can't have that. So sometimes I would like to have a very interchangeable third line. I mean, Casey, Olofsson, and who is it, Yost?
Yost, yeah.
I mean, it's for me. That's a good line on some nights, But let's be real. Olofsson 5-on-5 is a very below average player 5-on-5. He doesn't even, in terms of the power play, he's not even, in my opinion, Kyle Quick, shout out to him, messaged me the other night about this. He goes, why don't we line up Olofsson on that opposite side of Tage and make teams choose who they're going to cover, because you have a double-headed monster that you're not even using. And, I know a lot of great hockey minds in Western New York. Kyle Quick's one of them. So, I bow to him when it comes to a lot of things, and I tend to agree. And I don't know if that's because, maybe he just lacks in other areas that they don't trust with him being on the power play. I mean, that's that decision left with the Don Granato. But that's a guy that you're probably not going to see in the city anymore after this season. Becomes a UFA. Casey Middlestat is he's an okay two-way player, but in terms of what I want out of my top three lines, you need three lines that can score, and that line just for me isn't doing it consistently. It was nice to see Olofsson have 2 goals tonight, especially the one in overtime, obviously, but you need that more often than you're getting it, and you're not getting it enough. And I think that you just need to find somebody that you can throw into the mix there that's going to make them gel, depending on who sticks around, and gives you that depth. And again, a line that, depending on the matchup, you could interchange with the kid line. That's just my opinion.
See, now that is where I would love to see a Max Domi. I don't think you need to spend Bo Horvat money for that middle six depth. But Max Domi, if the writing's on the wall in Chicago that everything is getting blown up and everybody is for sale, probably except for Seth Jones because that contract is horrendous. He might just go, you know what? Yeah, you can move me at the deadline. I don't like my house that much anyway. I mean, again, he has kind of been a suitcase, based on his reputation, I guess. I mean, also he was in Columbus, and Columbus has also just been an organization in general that's had a total identity crisis. They still, to this day, don't know what kind of team they are. They've got Johnny Hockey and a cannon, and that's their team right now. And that doesn't build an organization. That doesn't build a franchise. No. I mean, it helps. The cannon's pretty cool. I think it's funny. But that said, some middle six depth would be nice. And for what it's worth, Victor Olofsson actually does have one more year after this one. So
is it one more year? I thought it was a UFA.
Yeah, no, he's on it. He's on his one of 2 more years left. So
what was a 3-year deal? Okay.
Yeah, I think it was a 3-year.
All right.
But again, I mean, if Buffalo has a bad month and they get well out of the race, this might.
Honestly, no, I don't want them to have a bad month. I mean, not a bad month. I mean,
obviously they don't.
Rolling.
Yeah, but
keep rolling.
If they did hit the contract he's on, that's not a hard deal to move if somebody's just looking for second power play sniper action.
And just, looking for a guy who can add some scoring to their lineup up to down, not even just at the power play. Like, he does have some even strength goals this season. It's not all just strictly on the power play, but you can't just deny the lack of ability 5-on-5. I don't think he's a great skater, just in my opinion. Maybe other people would agree or disagree. For me, there's guys that you have in the pipeline that do exactly what Victor Olofsson does. Guys like Yuri Kulik, who have an absolute cannon as well from that exact same spot.
But he's also a center.
Yes, exactly. He's interchangeable. He can play both.
Yeah.
For me, when it comes to signing a guy long term, it's just I'm not sure if I'm interested in that guy. Just because as good as he is in this area, he lacks so much in these areas.
Ultimately, I think if Olofsson stuck around for the rest of his duration, roughly when that contract ends is probably exactly when we would reasonably expect to see Yuri Kulik in the mix. He and Rosine and Kozak, Seiderquist, there are 5 rookies in Rochester right now trying to cut their teeth. And obviously Rosine and Kulik are, leaps and bounds better than the others. But even with their success, it's not quite as meteoric as like Quinn and Paterka was. So I do think they need another. I think 1, they need another year to cook, and 2, the Sabres can afford to give kids more time to cook because the situation in the main club is not so dire that you need to pull Casey Middlestat from Grand Prairie and get him in blue and gold as quickly as humanly possible. You don't need 18-year-old Rasmus Dahlin to just learn it all right here, right now. But you can make that choice when you see somebody as poised and confident and intelligent as Owen Power, who is already just like, he's got that elite mindset. It's, but just like with any player, it's going to take him time to be able to. And again, he's not playing bad. He just, he hasn't scored any goals yet this year, which again, we know he has more than enough offensive capability, but the fact that he's just playing defensively sound hockey night in and night out as a teenager in the best league in the world, like, that's what I want to see more than anything. I just want to keep seeing the blue bars on the graph get higher and higher and astronomically. Like,
Yeah, exactly.
I will lean on the stats hard there. Like, I don't care how many goals he gets. He can have, like 20, 30 assists this year, whatever. But, like, he's still just – it's insane that a 19-year-old is more reliable in my mind than, like, 4 of the other defensemen that we can dress. Labushkin, Bryson, Clegg, Yoki Hardy. I trust him more than any of those 4 guys combined.
He has a glass ceiling, in my opinion, man. He's just going to be so good. We're going to be talking him. I'm not saying you're going to be talking about Owen Power the same way we talk about Dahlin in terms of offensive output, but, like, he is going to be like a Victor Hedman-like defenseman, I think, down the road. A guy who you can throw out there in any situation. And really being a lockdown guy, but still add you that offensive flair. We had a comment here from Jeffrey Jenks asking what college Carson made his debut in tonight. Chatham University. It's Division III. So again, congrats to Carson, who started the show off with us, making his college hockey debut tonight in a big win. So congrats, bud. I know he lost his Wi-Fi. That's why he dipped out as early as he did. One comment here from Mauricio Arenas, who is always here in the post game. And I'll hang up and listen. UPO looks shaky upstairs, corners, tracking pucks, rebounds, screenshots. I don't disagree with you. I don't. He did. The one shot from Kaprizov, even though it was kind of through a screen, I thought that was not square to the puck on that one. Kind of got beat in kind of like in an awkward position. But a couple of the goals he had no chance on. But yeah, I tend to agree. The rebounds were there, quite a few of them. But that being said, you still got the win. That's all that matters. So it's going to be a tough decision for Kevin Adams in the next coming weeks when Comrie's ready to come back, because he is in a one-way deal. And you just can't send him down to Rochester. You have to waive him. And you're not going to do that to Craig Anderson because, A, just out of the respect for the man.
No.
And B, if you are going to trade Craig Anderson, it's got to be a team he would agree to go to. And it's not like people are knocking down your door for Craig Anderson right now. So it's an interesting spot for Kevin Adams to be in. We'll see what happens. If they give Comrie an opportunity to earn his spot back, it's not like he played bad to start the season off. He had a few good games, and then we ran into that ring of injuries on our blue line, which everybody suffered from. Even UPL, struggled dramatically during that stretch after Comrie went down.
Yep.
So I don't know. We'll see what happens. Sabres second period and third period let guard down. Not impressed. He's so up and down, Steve. Like when Mauricio comes on the post game with us, he's always so up and down. It's great. His highs are so high and his lows are like so near to the basement. There's nothing in between.
I mean, this organization can do that to him.
Yeah, I know.
I mean,
Friend of the program, Chris Durick. What another crazy game in black and red. Another 6-goal performance in the Goathead jersey. This team's heart and will to win. I'm starting to feel like it is unmatched and hope the boys keep it going. Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Couple comments on Chris. Guy helped me a lot during the Buffalo Strong tournament, and I couldn't obviously express my gratitude enough. Guy shows up to my house and gifts me a pair of those Bills Nike shoes that we saw online. Just gifts them to me, and I was completely blown away by it. Chris, thank you so much. You didn't have to do that. A couple clicks for you for that too. Appreciate it, bud. Thank you again, and always thank you for always being here on I'll Hang Up and Listen to offer your insight. Nick Alfidi, another great win. The Goatheads apparently were obligated to score 6 goals every time we wear them. This is a really exciting team, and I'm really excited in the development of the team. I agree. I've been saying it. They will not lose in these jerseys. If you've been paying attention, they will not lose in these jerseys. Yours truly has been calling it since they won the first one in those jerseys. I said they shouldn't be allowed to lose in these jerseys, and they won again, and then they won again, and then they won again. So, in my opinion, just don't even go back to the blue and gold. Just stick with the Goathead. Give the people what they want, or give me what I want. So,
make the original royal blue and gold jersey the throwback 10 years ago.
I know, right?
Oh, man.
At least until they lose one in that jersey, which they never will.
No, they never will.
Greg Balcom, MIF is still on the same.
Marc-Andre
has
Fleury
some
still
of those
has
days.
it on some of those.
Oh
things.
my God, there are a couple of one, dude, where he was doing
In
the
overtime. Holy smokes!
Which one?
The ones in overtime where it was just like,
oh my God, the one where
disgusting.
I thought Tage should have shot it. He had it one. It was a 2-on-1. He got the pass. I think it was. Who was it over to? I
think
remember.
it was over to Tuck.
Yeah, it was a great save. It was.
Yeah.
But Tage had him 1-on-1 and could have just put that puck anywhere. Unselfish play, getting the puck over the Tuck. But to me, with the type of shot Tage Thompson has, you should be shooting that puck 10 times out of 10.
And I think that's exactly why he made the pass, because he's probably thinking Flowers expecting him to shoot because he has such a piss missile. So if he makes makes it look like he's going to shoot it and then right at the last second make the pass over. But even that he also was kind of expecting, because he was able to get over and cheat just enough to block that like cross pass. Yeah, it was. Yeah, no, Flowers definitely still got it. I guess he's just going through some stuff right now.
Yeah. And again, a guy's a beaut, and I've loved watching his career. John Stanton, who was at the game, Duane, that was the loudest I've heard that building in 10 fucking years. What a game. I think the fucking is warranted for sure. I appreciate it, John. Also a guy who's been with 2 goalies on Mike since day one.
How was that MVP champ, brother?
Oh my God. Yeah. Dude, somewhere Dominic
he officially got the Josh Allen treatment after a big play.
I hate to pump my own tires. Well, no, I don't, but I do.
Power through it, Duane.
I've been saying this for 2 months. 2 months. Been 2 months. That guy, for me, I don't care how many points Connor McDavid scores this season. If this team makes the playoffs, and he scores 50 and 100 plus, he is the MVP, because by definition the Hart Trophy is awarded to the most valuable player to their team, and you can't tell me there isn't a more valuable team right now if this team is lost than Tage Thompson. I mean, the Oilers still have Leon Draisaitl. You know what I mean? That's still a guy who's going to score 100 points every season. And again, that's not a shot against Connor McDavid, but this team was not projected to even probably finish in the top half of the league, let alone make the playoffs. And Tage, guys like Tage and Dahlin and that entire first line, let's be real, have put this team on their back and are carrying them and giving them a chance to break an 11-year playoff drought. Is it 11 years now?
Yep, will be if we don't make it. Will be if we don't make it this year, yeah.
Exactly. So, the MVP chants are absolutely warranted, and they should keep on going. Every time that guy makes a play, every time that guy scores a goal, those chants should be loud and proud at KeyBank Center. Absolutely, man. Without a doubt.
You can take those chants on the road too if you want. Like
100%. Start traveling with the team, boys. Like, let's
follow
go.
them like the Grateful Dead.
Right? Let's go.
Get in the van, boys. Come on.
How about that for a soundbite to tease this episode? How about Tage? I mean, come on.
Tage fucking time.
Exactly, man.
I guess that is a testament to just how goddamn good he is. That Rasmus Dahlin had 5 points tonight. We still can't stop talking about Tage Thompson.
No, it's unbelievable, man. And had this conversation last week, and you see how deadly Alex Ovechkin always is from that spot. Like. He's there. That shot's coming. They're setting up for that shot. You know it's coming, but you still can't stop it. Tage Thompson is giving you that type of a vibe from that spot, man. He just lays down the hammer and you can't stop it. You can't. And then he has these elite handles to boot. Just the size, everything about him, man. Like, when he was drafted, you have to be drooling about this kid's size and skill set. The combination of it all. I mean, thinking, God, this kid can put this together. He is going to be a special hockey player. And it took a while. Maybe it is, it was a godsend for him that have Don Granato come in as a coach and make those moves. You have to imagine he's an integral part of it. But, Yeah, man. Like, he is the type of player scouts drool about, because it's like, holy shit. Like, you can't find a more hybrid type of player. And again, I'll say it for the 100th time on this show. I'm not going to say he's the same player as this guy, but in terms of size, Eric fucking Lindros. Eric Lindros. The guy was a monster. A monster. He was huge. He had the unbelievable hands. I mean, the one thing that's the biggest difference between the two of them is just, the physical side of Lindros's game, greatly outmatches those, who have been compared to him in the past. But again, double-edged sword, or however you say it, maybe that was his downfall, is he had a physical side to his game, and his career did end early. But God, man, you watch him play, when he finally figured it out, using his size, dropping that shoulder to protect the puck, just rubbing guys off, finally losing, when to use his hands, not always trying to skate, stick handle through everybody, just using everything about his frame, utilizing his entire frame to his advantage. It just finally, puts it all together. And he is an MVP like caliber player without a doubt. And the fans are finally giving him his due. And it should continue.
Yeah, absolutely. And if we could find a way to train JJ Peterka to become the second coming of Pavel Datsyuk, this team is unstoppable. Now that I would love.
Going into overtime, 5-5 was funny as hell on so many levels. Not only that we let up 3 in the third again, but we had to score 6 again to win. Is Tage Mario with Ovi shot? I mean, I'm not going to make Mario Lemieux comparisons with any player in the NHL, because in my opinion, and I've had arguments in the past, but I always thought that Mario Lemieux, matched up against Gretzky, in my opinion, was a better player. Guy suffered with a lot of injuries and illness, cancer, I think it was leukemia, or Hodgkin's disease. Didn't get his full career that he should have. And just what he did with a player of his size and the talent he had on the ice was so unbelievable. And, Super Mario was a delight to watch. And again, he also wasn't scoring goals from beyond the blue line every night the way Gretzky was on the goaltenders he was shooting against. So, but, I digress. Tage Thompson, in terms of size, yeah, man, he goes up against any size player in the league in terms of size and skill. I think he's the best hybrid player in that manner in the league, without a doubt. And it's just been such, you have 2 MVP caliber players on this team right now in both Dahlin and Tage Thompson. And again, I just, it's unbelievable, Steve.
Yeah. Tage Thompson, truly otherworldly this year. Dahlin having a, banner year. Dylan Cousins, the workhorse from Whitehorse, the Yukon Stallion, just absolutely
Stallion, workhorse from Whitehorse,
just obliterating last year's stats. Like, it's not even gonna, like, I think he's like a point or two within, like, obliterating his numbers from
from last year. Yeah,
35 points in 36 games right now. He only ended last year with 38 total. So, like, I mean, they're playing Philly on Monday, so maybe it ends by Monday that he's matched last year's point total. Homie's gonna get paid. And
how about this?
It couldn't have happened to a better guy.
How about this, by the way? A quiet 3-point night from Casey Middlestat.
A quiet 3-point night. And again, I am recognizing that both Casey Middlestat and Victor Olofsson are playing better 5-on-5 hockey. They are objectively improving. They are just not improving at the pace and level that the rest of this team is improving at.
Yeah.
And I think that's ultimately what makes them the odd men out. Again, they're not bad. They're just not good enough.
They're not where you want them to be in terms of a third line.
Yeah, no.
But again, I'll eat crow when it's time to eat crow. Am I there with Casey Middlestat? My criticism? No, I'm not. But you know what I mean? Like he is performing at a much better level than what I expected of him. He's still a guy who I still think is a little undersized. I think that, give me more consistency out of Casey, and I have no problem with them keeping him around. It's just when you play that centerman role, anyone who's played hockey long enough will tell you have a ton of responsibilities. And for me with Casey, it's you're lacking with those responsibilities and consistency in those areas every single game. But that's not to say that Don Granato isn't getting more out of him, because he is, and hopefully that continues.
Yep. If it were me personally, I would give Peyton Krebs another 4 to 6 weeks learning from Gergensons and Okposo. Translate that to the third line, and then put Middlestat down there for the rest of the year so he can.
You want to know what, man? Peyton Krebs has really come on as late.
Yeah,
really, really
playing fucking fantastic. Like,
yeah,
once you got that one goal like
there
2-3 weeks ago,
yeah, for sure.
Oh yeah. Sure. That's what I'm saying. Like, Peyton Krebs is like a fucking sponge with those guys.
Well,
like,
is he centering that line, or is Gergensen centering that line?
I think he's set. Like, Gergensons might be taking the draws, but I feel like Peyton Krebs is the center on that line. But again, like, their whole thing is just get the puck in deep, ride the wall. So, like, there really is no center at that point, because, like,
win puck battles,
ride the wall. Like, no one's ever taking that slot spot, which is probably where the center would go. They're all just supporting the wall. They're either in the wall battle, they're waiting for the wall battle to end and for the puck to squirt out. Like, all the play is driven to just one side of the ice whenever they're playing.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, if they're playing it right, they only need the two people supporting, and then, like, maybe Gergensons is off to the left, waiting for it to squirt out and then come over, and then they can cycle it back to the point guy, and then, just move it around a little bit, tire some people out, and then, oh shit, there's Tage Thompson. I haven't taken a breath in 90 seconds. Oh, and it's in the net. And that's what that line is supposed to do. Tire out the opposition until, like, they'll take a shot or two here or there, but, like, yeah, their goal is to just wear people out, make people make mistakes, and then, ideally cycle somebody in that can fucking rip it. And then when they do, it's almost certainly going in. That's the goal. But yeah, no, Peyton Krebs is clearly learning a lot from them, and he's learning it at an alarmingly quick rate. So, like, I would like to see him continue to work with them for another month or so, but, like, after it seems like he's learned about all he needs to learn, maybe bump him up to that third line pairing, send Casey down there, and see if Casey can learn a thing or two from them for the remainder of the year. Because if nothing else, maybe just learn how to throw a couple more hits here and there. Because, I mean, Peyton Krebs is a big enforcer now, as Rob Ray would have you believe, after that one little scrap he got into that. But yeah, I mean, I clearly being on that fourth line, like, grinding role is really, it's affecting his game, and definitely not in a bad way either. He's learning a whole new skill set that I'm not sure he had before he paired up with him.
No, yeah, I mean, and with his struggles early on in the season, I guess putting him under the wings of two veteran leaders, two of your captains, with Okposo and Gergensons, I think that was a great move by Donnie Granato, without a doubt, to really start to get more out of him. And it's clearly shown quite a bit. So other points tonight, obviously Dahlin, 2 goals, 3 assists, including the game-tying goal. Dylan Cousins with a goal and assist. Victor Olofsson with 2 goals. Tyson Yost and Peyton Krebs and Owen Power all with assists. Quiet night for Tage Thompson, only 1 goal, only 1 point. To our standards for Tage Thompson, that's a quiet night. And Alex Tuch with another assist, a guy who is continuing his insane pace that I don't think anybody could have predicted for Alex Tuch. You would think that you get 60 to 70 points out of Alex Tuch, you're extremely happy with that, compared to what he's done in the past. But right now, man, he is absolutely on fire. in these last 10 games. And he right now is at 43 points in 37 games, a plus 14, on the verge of scoring 20 goals. I mean, we might have 4 to 5 20-goal scorers on this team.
Yeah. I mean, and for what it's worth, Alex Tuck's career high was 20 goals, 32 assists for 52 and 74. So he's 9 away from that as of 37 games. So this is going to be another banner year for Alex Tuck.
Yep.
You know, every like 5 or 6 players are reaching heights that they've never done before. Which, when you have that many people rolling at that level, you know, yeah, Kevin Adams, make a trade. Now is the time. Put your chips down. Let's go. Let's do it. And back to circling back just very briefly to the what do you do when Conry's ready to come back up situation. I think you waive Casey Fitzgerald and just roll with all 3 goalies because, to be fair, Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen is showing you he belongs here. You cannot bump down Craig Anderson just out of respect for the man he is and also just what he brings to your locker room if he's not playing that much. But I think we do need to give Eric Comrie a legitimate chance to show us what he's capable of. I mean, we've still got him for another season and a half. He's played 11 games in 37. Yeah, I just don't think we have enough of a sample size to just, walk away from that. And again, I think obviously he needs to come up because if you keep him down, he has to be waived. But also, I don't think the solution is sending UPL back down. I think, with Yoki Haru potentially coming back to the fold this week, keep the D pairings, sparse, send down Casey Fitzgerald, and if somebody gets a little banged up in a game, you roll with 5 guys. And then if Lyubushkin or Bryson's the odd man out, so be it. You know that Dahlin and Samuelson work together. You know that Clay and Power work together. And if that 5th guy is the odd man out, you run with a short bench. But if all 3 of those goaltenders can become 900 goaltenders, and you make that insurance trade for some legitimate D help, we're spending some time at KeyBank Center in May. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah, without a doubt. A few more comments here. Willie McBillis, really, 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 really hammering the comments right now. One second here. Gotta blow this up. Wasn't the game that Casey had his helmet off tussling the one he was paired with the 4th line? I believe you are correct. Yes. Can we call the 4th line the conditioning stint? I love it. I like that. I like that. Whip them into shape.
Seriously.
Okie and Gergs.
Yeah,
the cool call from whichever
pull-up bar
aren't traded or benched. I don't know if Kulik. I would say those guys would get a call up if this season was down in the drain. I think this season for sure. But barring any massive injury issues, I don't know if Kulik would get a call up this season. It would take a lot of injuries, in my opinion, for that to happen, especially like you said earlier, when you got Hinestroza kind of sitting on the outside looking in, waiting for an opportunity. I think they would go with Vinny before they would make that type of a dramatic call up. I haven't hated 36. Yeah, me either. I haven't. I'll admit it. Commented that before your Lindros comparison, and I agree more with you there. I think that Tage does give me those vibes outside of the physical style of play. You don't find guys with his size and his skill level very, very often. It's very hard to find. You look at guys like Getzlaff, who've always had that type of a size, kind of like that stature and that skill level. But outside of him, those guys are few and far in between. So it's cool. It's great to see a player of his size finally reach that ceiling and start to crush it the way he is. So, we've been on here for a little over an hour now. Still have some of you guys chiming in. Make sure if you're not already subscribe to the Two Goalies One Mic YouTube channel. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. If you like what you hear, leave a comment. And make sure you're following us on Apple Podcasts at Two Goalies One Mic. I keep hitting the table here. At Two Goalies One Mic on Apple Podcasts, Spotify. Hoping to get some former guests on with us soon. We just had Dave Starman on. I know John Buchacross of ESPN has agreed to come on with us again here soon. Andrew Peters will be on with us again, hopefully soon, amongst other guys. So make sure you subscribe. Two Goalies One Mic. Number 2 goalies, number 1 mic on any social media platform. And again, please subscribe on YouTube for sure. So before we head out here, you want to look at the schedule going forward here, Steve? What's to come?
Yeah, sure. I already alluded to the matchup against the Philadelphia Flyers this coming Monday.
Always a tough team. Do you see that with Kevin Hayes? He made the All-Star game, and Torts had already benched him, which rightfully so. The guy hasn't been had his A game as of late. And Torts goes, I don't give a shit about the All-Star game. I don't disagree with him though, man. You want to congratulate the guy, but at the end of the day, this is an individual sport, it's a team sport, and you want to win hockey games. You're not here to just hand out participation trophies.
Yeah, and I obviously would have given that honor to Travis Konechny or Kevin Hayes in a heartbeat, but that's just me. We actually got a back-to-back this week. The very next night after Philly, Tuesday night, we played the Seattle Kraken. I believe that will be the first time they're in our barn all year.
Mm-hmm.
So if you want to check out
we lost them too, didn't we?
We did lose to them on the road. Yes, we did.
We did. Yep.
Mm-hmm. Thursday night is Winnipeg. That could be the Eric Comrie revenge game. That could actually very well be the matchup right there. Must-watch TV for anybody wanting to see if Eric Comrie's going to put on a fucking show in his first game since his conditioning stint. I think you could be safe playing Craig Anderson on Monday. I think that would be a reasonable.
You say safe, but it's not like Craig has played bad this season. He's played against great teams. He's played against below average teams, and he's performed well. He has the best stats of any goaltender on this team right now.
Yeah, no, and I just think if you're playing the back-to-back, I think you should play the hotter hand on the second night to give yourself.
Oh, I don't disagree with you. I'm just stating.
That's why, yeah.
I'm just saying the way you worded it, you'd be safe. I think you're safe with Craig Anderson at just about any night.
Yeah, just about any night. But here's hoping Philly doesn't try to run the goalie or something.
Yeah.
Take a page on.
Question here from Jeffrey Jenks. If Levi signs, think he will get any NHL games next season? Next season maybe. Yeah. I don't see. It really depends on how the season's going and what position you are goaltending wise. Yeah, if he signs, which I fully expect him to sign at the end of this college season, probably report to Rochester and start his professional career after the season with them.
Yeah, that's actually an interesting wrinkle because UPL's contract right now, this year, it's only a 2-year deal. This year is a 2-way. Next year is a 1-way. So if next year he's starting in Buffalo, you got to waive him to send him down. Which I think right now that's what he's playing.
I remember discussing that when it was signed.
He's playing trying to secure that job in Buffalo. Obviously, Eric Comrie is a 1-way deal, as we know, and he'll have 1 more year as well. So the tandem idea is supposed to be UPL and Comrie exclusively next year.
Mm-hmm.
So to that end, unless one of them is playing profoundly poorly, I honestly don't know if there's going to be any room for Devin Levi just next year, which honestly I think is okay. Again, it's nice.
Give him a whole year.
We don't have to rush anybody. Yeah, we don't have to do that anymore because we have things that we can reasonably rely on.
Again, barring a complete meltdown from UPL or any type of massive injury, I could definitely see him playing an entire season in Rochester next year. Which isn't a bad thing at all.
It's only an hour down the road.
Yeah. When do we play Toronto? When's the next Toronto Maple Leaf game? I feel like we've played them one time this season, I think. which is bananas to me because they're a
It's,
divisional team.
It's honestly not for a while. It is a home game though. Tuesday, February 21st.
Better be in the Goathead jersey. Just saying it right now. It better be in the Goathead jersey.
It doesn't tell me that on the Sabres app.
I know, but it just better be in the Goathead jersey.
I mean, it definitely.
Give me back those 90s, early 2000s vibes, please. That rivalry was at its peak in the late 90s. Give me the Goathead jersey. I'm going to give all Sabres and Toronto fans what they want, especially elongated fans as like myself who really appreciated that rivalry when it was, really buzzing and during those eras.
These are this week 3 home games. So if you haven't been to a Sabres game in a minute and want to, get yourself in the mood before Ryan Miller night the following Thursday, Philly, Seattle, Winnipeg, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, respectively. Then they go briefly on the road for a game in Nashville Saturday night.
Yeah.
Nashville's they're once again doing that thing that they do where they're doing okay, but there's definitely some aspects of their game that is suspect, and you wonder if it's for real this time. I still don't. I feel like ever since that one year that they had that tremendous push, it's always kind of been like
back with PK when they had PK Subban and
they'll get in, but to what end, And that's unfortunate because there is a tremendous amount of talent in that squad. UC Soros is obviously an incredible netminder. Roman Josi is another person that you can honestly compare Rasmus Dahlin's game to. It's not always Victor Hedman definitely had the same kind of slow start, but the way that Roman Josi is just fucking everywhere. Just the way that if Roman Yosi's on the ice, there's no way that you don't know. There's no way that you don't know that he's finding some way to positively affect the play, and that's what we've been seeing more and more of with Rasmus Dahlin. We rarely, if ever, anymore see just a brain fart defensive breakdown where he's just not even close to being where he ought to be.
Yeah.
The closest we got tonight was he was kind of behind the net in that situation where Samuelson was basically covering 2 dudes in the front. He had one guy tied up. And then our friend was just open on the other side. It's I gotta take the guy directly in the fucking slot. And he kind of lost sight of the guy off on the corner there, and Dahlin was coming up, but man, that was just that easy little tip in goal that there was just nothing they could have done. But yeah, I mean, I always liked watching Nashville ever since that big playoff push. I got some respect for. I do hope that things solidify and actualize, but there are a lot of things about the bottom 9 of that forward core that make me scratch my head a little bit.
For sure.
But you'll see it on Saturday.
Yeah, exactly. You did upload we'll have up hopefully tomorrow new episode of Where the Buffalo Roam. Long overdue episode. Hopefully I'll have it up tomorrow.
My apologies.
No, it's all good. But I got nothing left in the tank. So I'll hang up and listen. Remember, this has been brought to you by Outlet Liquor, the place to buy a case over on George Urban Boulevard. Don't haste. Go buy a case from Outlet Liquor, the place to buy a case. So, Steve, thanks for hopping on tonight, bud. Appreciate it. Thanks for everybody who joined us and stuck around with us. The live views on the YouTube channel seem to be more and more as the season goes on, as fans kind of get more excited for the season. So whether it's on our channel or Trainwreck's channel, definitely we always seem to be, the people seem to want to watch, and the interest is finally starting to be on the right side of the fence with the positive direction of this team. So thanks again for sticking around. I'll hang up and listen. I am Duane, producer Steve. 2 or 3 words. Let's go Sabres.
Let's go.